Good evening, gents. Obviously, you see on Mondays we're in black. You see bath times. His avatar has a black background, and look, I'm wearing black headphones. Boy, are we in mourning? It's been a very strange last couple of days. Guys, look, let's get our feelings out. This is our therapy session before the Bayern Munich game. Let's get this show on the road. Oh boy. I don't even know where to start. Obviously, guys in the chat, the weekends are very difficult for us all to get on. So we've saved it for Monday so that you've had time to calm down. We've had time to calm down. Although you should have seen the faces in the chat before we went live. Um Look, we're gonna try. I don't know how we're gonna keep a positive spin on it. But guys in the comments, that's what you're here for. Hopefully I'll be able to pick up on Monday spirits and bath times. If not, then we roll into Bayern on Wednesday in a very, very sad state. So, guys, how we feeling and how was the weekend on Monday?
Well, this is our segment for the grassroots agenda, isn't it? We give you an update about how we got on. I'll go first. Yeah, we were supposed to have a league game. Our Sunday team, Greenwoods. I'm calling us Greenwoods. My old team, Woodlands United. Yeah, we played teams in our league in a friendly, and we didn't have a goalkeeper. And whereas we had 20 players last week, because they knew it was a friendly this week, we had bare 11 and plus one or two. And then people rolled up late, even though it was nearest ground to us. We ended up losing 3-2, last minute goal we conceded, but all three goals were like calamity things from players that are in goal. So I don't mind that. I think we're still all right for the league. I think we'll still be all right. But I'm really disappointed. There was a fight during the game as well. That's something we have to cut out because, as we spoke about the new memo from the FA, we will get dock points for that sort of thing. Had delayed the game for like 5 to 10 minutes. And stupid people, when simply people so richly red, you can shout yourself hoarse. You beat someone's face, stop, split it up, and they don't do anything. So I just sit back and just go, do what you have to do, guys. But they're not going to fight. There's all this big talk. Yeah, I'm going to do that. You know they're not going to fight. So when I was thinking, right, let me rush over there and get involved, I thought, no, let me hold back my voice and say it for the Man United agenda because there's you can get in there, get this roughness and everything else. It's not worth it. We all shake hands afterwards. But while it's hot, when it's red hot like that, just let them go at it. And as soon as the more people get involved, the longer it will go on. Let's just stand aside, and if there's two guys going at it like head to head, it was Zabit actually. He was going head to head with a guy, and then one of our other players tried to defend him. Just let them three fight it out, and they won't fight. I guarantee. But anyway, we start our season next week. I hear there's some good news from you two above.
Half time?
Yeah, we won quite easily, to be honest, which was really good. But the problem is it was a 10 o'clock game, and I absolutely hate 10 o'clock in the morning games. It really messes up with my eating. And I also got kicked in the balls during the game.
Intentionally?
No, I went to block a shot, and this guy completely miskicked it, and it just sort of... It like kissed the bottom of them, and there was that horrible moment where there's no pain yet, but you know it's coming. You know it's coming. And then like Clappo, my left back, he loves slapstick, and he just thought it was hilarious. And I was on the floor, and he's just laughing at me and pointing. I was not happy, but yeah. So it wasn't the best weekend.
What's the score?
3-1.
3-1, nice.
Yeah,
how did you play? How was your? You think you've done all right?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time. We've spent honestly about 4 months working on a couple of new pieces of play. One of which is the transition video that I stuck up, and that worked, and we scored a goal from a transition, which I never thought we would do it, because it's one thing to do it on a training pitch or a field. It's quite another thing to do it in an actual game. And we really pissed the other team off because, like, there was 16 men celebrating like we'd won the World Cup. Like, we went completely over the top. But yeah, it was good, and I was pleased with it. But Mr. B, did you have another dramatic game?
Yeah, our first league game. We won 4-3. Me and Lamonde's joint player got man of the match, 2 assists and the winning goal. So yeah, we are second in our league, very very early. But you know what? Yeah, we won 1 game in the whole of the 20 that we played last season. So,
Oh, God. Oh my
so
God.
so we're off to a good start. All of this transition talking with you guys and all of my posts in the group over the summer, I think they've taken heed
Nice.
of it. So
Brilliant.
yeah, it's looking
3
good, man.
points on the board.
Yeah, but look, what's not looking good, guys, is Man United's form. Is Ten Hag really, really under pressure? Is there other things we know as United fans? We will always point to one thing, but let's take that out of the equation, and let's talk about maybe how he's played, the teams that he's putting out, the players that he's picking, the players that he's keeping faith in. We'll go along that way. The other side of it is so far above my head that it's not worth talking about. So, Monday, you want to go through some of these messages first before we get the show
Okay.
going?
Everyone say hi to Box. It's not his birthday, bath time. He's saying yo. Jarley's saying big win with the doggo visiting. Hi guys from love you too. Vincent saying hi guys as well. What an awful few weeks from Jimmy Mack buying easy work. Look what's happening to us. Says love you. Big up from Ed Mayhem. We were dreadful Saturday. Nothing more to say than that. Just have to hope we play better against Bayern. Bill Badger's in the house as well. He's not going to be around. He's got to be back. We'll comment tomorrow. So big up Bill Badger. Jimmy Mack saying here, looking towards the ending Kane's career in Germany with a 6-0 special grab. Evening gents from Zoe Media House as well. Love you. All players can play so well, are being injured. Across the pond, how you doing, man? It says, so that what's happening with the evil Red Devils? Need Aaron back, methinks. Andy Herbert in the house as well. What's the prediction for Bayern Munich? He's an Arsenal fan. Big up to Matthew Bassett as well in the house. Docking points on a non-league club. Laughing out loud. Taking the classic for the pub team. Hey, he's talking about our little segment earlier. Can anyone be ready for Bayern speed with Alfonso coming at you? It's scary, lads. Yes, bath time balls. Need some quality in the tub. A Monday question. Don't you think the goals we conceded so far this season, David Gay would have saved most of them? I don't know about Anana. Now that I've had a chance to see him, I don't think he's a good shot stopper. We can talk about that maybe, guys. We can't press. We'll have to play a low block. And Vincent Demise in the house as well, saying, I told you guys, strap him for the ride.
Oh, he did.
Big up to Niall Kane as well. He's saying, Niall Kane in the house and all ears for the Man United agenda. A couple more. Box saying, we have a habit of dropping clangers last few years. This is De Gea talking about. Remember Everton last season and West Ham, 2 examples. Zoe Media House saying, Box, what goalkeeper doesn't have clangers? David De Gea would for sure have saved the goals and Arnold conceded. Interesting that we're going back. Oh, there's so many more comments, but yeah, let's start the show. Let's get on with this.
Big T's not happy. Just read this last one.
Okay, so Big T in the house saying, we can't let the standards of our manager drop because the owners are crap. Mourinho did better with a poorer squad. Ten Hag is out of his depth, out of his element. That's the title of the show, isn't it? Question.
Yeah. I think, where do we start? Do we start with pre-season and us playing 195 games and flying to the moon and back? Do we start with the pathetic first game against Wolves? We're Anana Jackton. For some unknown reason, VAR has been on our side and not been on our side, so we can definitely say it swings and roundabouts. What's gone wrong, guys? Bath time.
All right. So, I like to try and look for the good in performances, and there were some all right things that happened in that game, but they mainly happened in the first 20 minutes. And one of the big issues that we've brought up time and time again about Ten Hag, in particular a game against Chelsea last year where Potter made a substitution after 30 minutes, is that Ten Hag doesn't really adjust tactics in game, and De Zerbi did. And it was a very simple change that he made, where he just got his centre backs to go out wide. It's something that I think everyone will have noticed, and because of that, it opened up the pitch. We were very, very compact, which I like, but you can't be overly compact You know, you can't play this narrow and give all the width up. And I just like so much. There's so much I want to say about this game because I'm really angry with a lot of things. But in terms of the positives, I don't think the players were throwing Eric Ten Hag under the bus in that game. There was I think that they did what he wanted him to do, and that their physical condition isn't good enough to play the style of football that he wants. Well, I don't know, Mr. B, but there was one thing. There's one of my friends told me that when he went to a football club, he got there as one of the fitter players, and he was really sort of shocked at how poor the fitness was across the team. And he thought, well, my fitness isn't going to go down. I'm going to keep doing it. And within about 4 months, he was at the same level of everyone else because the intensity wasn't there, the conditioning wasn't there. And I was incredibly worried. Hello, Jeff. I messaged Jeff the other day because we haven't seen him for a while.
Long time, boy. I hope all's well, my friend. I hope all is well.
Big up, Jeffrey.
Good to see you, Jeff. But what worried me in that game is it's the first game I've ever seen McTominay huff a man. In terms of not having the running power, and it's kind of confirmed my theory that you can't up your fitness during a season. It can only really be done in pre-season. And I'm worried we're in for a very long season now. That squad is not fit enough. The manager can't adjust tactics on the fly, and either we continue to play the way Ten Hag wants us to play, and we get battered by teams that are fitter than us, or we just go back to playing like a mid block and having to wait another year before we can sort of get the club on track to play the football that you need to play in order to win the league. And it's I'm really down about what I saw fitness wise. If that's even before we get into Rashford tactics and all that sort of stuff. It's the fitness is terrifying me. Amondo.
Yeah, look, the title of the show is Ten Hag Under Pressure. At a big club, you will be slightly under pressure, but I think as fans, we're still on side. Hopefully, the majority of fans are still on side. We remember where we're coming from, and I think a lot of us support him because of the work he's done. He's already sort of got that backing for what he banked last season by coming third in the league and winning the domestic cup as well. And we could have had so much more if you really think about it. Our away form was really poor last season. That needs to be fixed up. I just think this season, the Wolves game, granted we didn't play the best, but we created chances. We ended up winning it. We played Spurs away from home. They're on the up. They play really good football, but we had chances to win that. 3 or 4 headers, opportunities, handball, penalty. I'm thinking at these games, it was a winnable game. Then we go, who else we played? We played 5.
Arsenal.
We played Arsenal. Obviously, I'm going to keep saying it, but we had 4 key opportunities that went against us. I thought that we transitioned them well, especially for the goal with Rashford. And then, obviously, same with Garnacho, but that was just offside. And I felt there was a few decisions that went against us as well. And they won it in the last minute. Forget about the Jesus goal. We had to push forward, but they won it in the last minute. And we showed a lot of desire, a lot of fight against a top team like Arsenal. But we could have won that. We could quite even the manager said that in his press conference as well. And then who else we played? So that's 3 games. We played Brighton. I felt that, like you said, we did start really well. Oh, Forest. We won that game. We were 2-0 down. Wow, and managed to get back into the game at home and just about scrape it. And that sort of covers up all the cracks that were there already, but the cracks were there. We done a preview, didn't we, before the show, thinking, we might win. You guys were on point. You said a draw, basically meaning a loss because you hardly ever say, look, we're going to draw. Which is true.
Exactly.
We get mind out. That's basically what you're saying. And you're right. And I was wrong. And I think the Brighton game, it was a winnable game. If we would have gone up, it could have changed. There was a few things in the game that really frustrated me. I did watch it live, by the way, by half time. I did hang around. I didn't go out till much later. I thought, I can't miss this. And I was really frustrated with certain things going on. I think when we conceded against Spurs, we didn't go. I think it was Mason Mount didn't go with the runner, just ran to the penalty spot and then left it for someone else for Papa Shango went for the score, and I think the same thing applies with Brighton. Same thing applies with Brighton. Like Welbeck wasn't picked up, so much space. The other guy, the Brazilian guy from Watford, he wasn't picked up. I just think you can run to a certain area, but someone has to take responsibility and someone has to communicate and say, no, that's your man, pick him up and go all the way with him. And that's why I say, that's why I was nodding in my head when bath time was talking about fitness and that kind of thing and that aggression and intensity. That's what you need to do to stop conceding goals, because some of the goals are soft. And when I look at the goals, I think, unless it's a worldie, I'll be like, it can be stopped. And some of these goals should have been stopped. And it's just a bit of work rate, bit of a desire to get back and just get your body there or something like that. Do what Anana did against Wolves. Get your body in there and crash through people. Anana showed the spirit. And just to go back to my final point, because I'm going to pass this off now, it's about the goalkeeper situation. I'm happy with the goalkeeper. People say, oh, he should have saved A, B, and C. But I think the positive, what outweighs everything is the way he's distributed the ball, the calmness he has. Obviously, if you've got open shots on goal, look, man, it's going to be tough for anyone to save that. I know De Gea has got these highlight reel great saves, and now people are looking to him. Forget that. That's in the past. If you're going to do that, then also do the same price for Maguire then. Why not have a revival, say, we're losing now, bring back Maguire? Because that's probably what's going to happen in the next few weeks. Call these sort of suckers who've buried people, want to dig them up again and say, revive them, bring them back to life and say, Maguire, we need you. I mean, it's ridiculous. Come on, guys. Get behind all the players, get behind the manager, get behind the club. It's not over. We've lost 3 games in 5, which is not a good start. But we can get better. We can only get better than this right now. And I've seen positives in each game to say, well, we could have won. And I think if we keep pushing with that, and especially playing Bayern Munich, it's an opportunity, it's a free game to go out there and really show some character and desire and fix the little problems that we've had.
Ed Mayhem, yes, he did. He did.
Papa Star.
You call him Papa Shango?
Yeah. Anyone called Papa is like, you've got to be Shango. You've got to give him that name.
Who is Papa Shango?
He's a wrestler. He played The Godfather.
Okay.
He's a WWE wrestler. He played many roles, but my favorite role is Papa Shango, voodoo guy. A bit like the guy from Live and Let Die. That sort of character, the voodoo guy.
Baron Samedi.
Yeah, Samedi. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know.
GoldenEye, innit?
Yeah.
N64.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
He didn't know my film. He knows it by. He knows
no,
it by.
GoldenEye. Yeah. All right, enough.
All right. I mean, look, bath time. You were talking about fitness. And I obviously mentioned all of our traveling that we did at pre-season.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I just from pre-season, the amount of games that we played, he never had time to train to get fit. He had time. Look, if you look, he played Sancho, a player who we never had any intention of playing by the looks of things, as the centre forward. And me and Amonde discussed it, and Amonde said to me he thought it was more to fill a gap. I was getting excited thinking he was going to be our shadow striker, and Amonde said no, it was down to fitness. It's about getting the players to a level of fitness. And I mean, we played so much games and the players still aren't fit. So obviously, I think that was a lack of training time that started the season. We talk about injuries. Our injuries are disgusting. We've got the new guy in and we've got muscle injuries. What have we brought him in for? Muscle injuries to me are the ones that should be able to be avoided. We look at these, they've got all of this data analysis, and when players are in the red, they can test their piss to see if they're dehydrated and stuff like that. So there's ways of stopping these players breaking down. The Wan-Bissaka one came out of nowhere, and I thought it was an absolute bloody wind-up. I thought it was a wind-up when I heard it again, the fact that Wan-Bissaka's out. We've got Heaton, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Shaw, Malacia. Is Amrabat fit to play? So look, he could be on the bench. If they heard anything about Mason Mount, he could still be on the injury list. We've got 2 players who we can't play. I mean, we've got 11 of our squad. I'm not going to say those 11 are going to make any difference to the way that we've been playing, but these Mainu as well. These are players who are, say they're better than what we've got, because everybody seems to be playing like a bunch of tossers at the moment. But at least it would help. It would help in in training. He wouldn't have to be calling on the really young guys to be joining in on training, because he's now got to be probably mixing up the teams in training, where you want it to be a semi-level being competitive. You've now got maybe Hugel holding one line, playing the forward on one side, and you've probably got Gore holding, when it should really be Amrabat up against Casemiro in there. Those kind of levels, which means that everything is being risen. So I think a lot of it has to do with preparation. I don't think we've prepared right for the start of the season at all. You want to go through some of these messages before we kind of drift on Monday?
Okay, Jeff has been in the house. We know that. He's saying to Matthew, I was better. I'd have to be two people. I just jumped on that. Anyway, Box is saying here, Martial was sat on the bench for 70 minutes and was walking in the 71st minute.
I mean, so the Martial issue, I only changed only took Martial off my WhatsApp avatar this week. What is he playing for? Is he just playing to not get injured?
Why do you say? Do you agree with that comment here?
Yeah, I do. On Monday, I do. You know what? I think he's accepted that he's not a first choice striker at Manchester United, and that's what bugs me. You need to have internal desire and internal.
Yeah.
It has to be within, and I'm not sure that Martial has now got it in for him. He played the game. Obviously, these changes have been worked out before. The fans were booing that Højlund came off on the 60th minute, and it's the first. I just thought, you know what, you ignorant sons of bitches. The man has just come back. He's not fully fit, and you want him to play the other half an hour in the red zone when the body's more tired, more susceptible to getting injured, and you're booing. Now, I know they weren't booing Martial coming on. I know they were booing the fact that Højlund was coming off. People need to be smart and use their heads. If he goes again now, we've got to rely on... Oh, nearly cussed. We've got to rely on Martial to lead our line for the rest of the season. Guess what? This time we don't have Vigors as backup. Vigors as backup to be running around after him. Sorry to jump in there.
Good points there. We're in a relegation battle, said Big T. What have you seen to date this season to suggest otherwise? Did you see Bruno play to centre back, says Box? Big up to Alex. He's saying it's looking very much like a rough season. We've got to figure out this out ASAP to have any chance of finishing inside the top four. I'm wounded after the weekend, beaten at home. Jeff is saying here, Saturday was chaos. Even Bruno had a shocker. He's also saying 3 goals from Brighton, all the same, open in the middle, letting players run free. Jimmy is saying here, just missing so many players and not panicking at all. Big T saying on Monday, name me a game this season where we showed fight for the full game. Moments are not good enough. Big T also saying here, some people need to go back to basics. We can't even do the basics. We've shown that. The season is finished, says UK Strange. Maguire's a joke, says UK Strange. He also says it's going to get worse before it gets better. Across the pond is saying here, Maguire time again, question mark. We have to play some kids to get the activity and running up, says Jeff. Big T saying it, has De Gea ever conceded 10 goals this many games into the season? I don't think he did that with Maguire in front of him. Vincent saying here, Monday, come on Monday. I know you want to say pimping ain't easy. Gea was like a ghost versus Liverpool last season. He was pathetic. Says Box. Jeff saying, what surprised he didn't pull Palestri on the right. He's saying here he was surprised by that. We played 8 games. City played 3 in Japan. This is about pre-season, I think. That's what UK Strange. Big T saying here, we need to play the youth team in the Champions League and tell the first team when they want to play in the Champions League, then he can go qualify for it. Good one.
I quite like that.
Andy Herbert saying here, he's having a discussion at work today with a United fan, saying, why is the hatred for Maguire? Is it the United fans don't like him or rate him? To be fair, we had a poor start to the season when it was COVID and didn't travel anywhere, and that's from Box. Jeff saying here, first team only played 45 minutes at a time in the US, and please tell the youth will get slapped 20-0 if they play. I want to say big up to FTSN Column. You know Column. He's been a member for 14 months. We will come good, he says. The team is so fatigued, though. And one more. our Dutch correspondent, who knows all about Ten Hag, and he gives us great insight into him from experience. He's saying here, Erik Ten Hag left a sinking Ajax ship with new bad management, only to arrive on your tanker with Glazers at the helm. His stubbornness brought us success at the end, but will be too much for the UK media and fans. Should we leave it hold it there?
Yeah, just leave that one up there, I suppose. To me, as I said, he called it. He said that second season syndrome is going to kick our ass, and it is. All the positivity that I had for the start of the season, the Wolves game, we won, so you accept it. Although I watched Match of the Day and laughed. The Tottenham game was the one that shocked me. I've been watching Tottenham. Obviously, I had Don P come on the takeaway on Friday, and he talked his arse off and had his chest this big on the show. And then they did us. The Forest game, I'm just glad that we scored goals. I know we were behind, but the fact that we went at them, all right, Forest probably decided we've scored 2 goals, we're not going to score anymore, let's try and defend. So maybe their tactics played into our hands. The Arsenal game broke me for 4 days. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. That Arsenal game broke me. And then this result, I am looking and I do not see, I try to defend players. I love Rashford. But I tell my 10-year-old son to play with his fucking head up. And if he does something in the game that I don't like, I would never, in game, I would never cuss. I just watch and monitor. And in the car ride home, I try to explain to him things that I want him to improve on. And to be fair, the next week, he will play with his head up. He might not get the cross in, and he might have his head up so much that he's not looking where the football's going. But he's listened to my instruction. Surely, I don't even have a coaching license. I know you need to play with your head up. Rashford cannot keep running, trying to run past people and score goals, because he doesn't have that in him. Last season, I'm beginning to think last season was a freak. Forget about the goal scoring numbers. I think he's always capable of doing that. It's the assists. I don't understand why, as a man of his age and the amount of football, he has to run at 167 miles an hour on the pitch. Slow down. You've got gears to go. Thierry Henry used to slow a man down and boom, burn him off. Slow, change pace. So even now, me, as much as I love him to death, I'm now beginning to think. I've had people in the chat say Rashford has no intelligence, and I sit here and say, I'm thinking to myself, why don't you shut your blowout? Don't come on here and be cussing Rashford. But you have to start looking at it. You can't keep looking at things with rose in glasses. And I'm now beginning to look at faults in my favourite players. You know what I mean? Bruno is my captain. I'm still not saying nothing bad about Bruno. Man can light me up in here all they want. Bruno played like this. I don't care in it. At the moment, he's having to carry 11 pussy holes on his back. And it's beginning to weigh him down. We've got these new players coming in. We've got Martinez coming in first season. Martinez played until he got injured. He's now come back, and it's like he's on the same level as all the lazy sons of bitches that we've already had at the club. I mean, you were saying it about bath time. You were saying it about your mate coming in, and after 4 months, he dropped to his level, dropped to the level of the team instead of them trying to rise to his. This is what it looks like is starting to happen now. That it just seems like they're just going out there and expect, we'll go out there. They've got Bayern Munich on Tuesday. They worked so hard to get into the Champions League. We've been saying, I all tried to learn the music for it, so I could. I'm so excited about the champ, and the game's come now, and I'm shitting myself.
Can I just add?
Be like that.
Bayern Munich they haven't lost in the last 34 group stage games in the Champions League. They haven't lost in the last 34. Do you know how many they've won? Guess.
All of them?
No.
Must be bloody close. Come on Monday.
What is it on Monday?
They've won 31 of the last 34 group stage games, which is a record.
And you're still going to go for a 1-0 United win.
That's tomorrow. We still got time to think about it.
I actually wanted to ask you some stuff, Monday, about the goals that we conceded.
Yeah.
So the first goal with Welbeck, who I told you I knew he was going to break my heart.
You did say that, didn't you?
He's a great player, Welbeck. Like, I looked at that from the point of view of a midfielder, and the organisation wasn't as bad as I think a lot of people said, because we were from Reguilon, Casemiro, and McTominay. There was a diagonal across the box to stop that coming in. Now I don't know enough about high level football, but if I was in McTominay's situation, I probably would have left zone 14 and gone with Welbeck. Right, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but what I do know is Lindelof got bodied by Adam Lallana, and that space there. So what the diagonal does is it leaves an area where your centre backs have got to be dominant. I am extremely worried about Martinez and Lindelof. I've been saying it for quite some time. I don't think they can win duels consistently with balls coming in. Like, as a centre back, when you see that space that the midfield left for the defenders to duel in, like, what was your sort of initial thoughts on it?
I think two things. The second thing you just dropped already about Lindelof, the ball got played across, and Lallana was able to let it go through his legs unchallenged. You got to be physically enough without making a foul to. This is my house, my space. I'm clearing the hell out of this place. You know, if you're there, you're getting moved up, and it's not going to be a penalty because I'm physically strong enough to command my position and read it. Because he was facing up, he was looking across the line to see where the cross was coming. He should just go out there, step out, and deal with it. In my opinion, you know. But yeah, you're right. You shouldn't get bodied there. No way. That's like, to me, that's disgrace. You know, little Lallana. I mean, come on, bro. It's like Lallana being he's one of these bouncers in the club, getting Lindelof and stringing him out, dash around like like Mr. Bel-Air. You know, when Jazz used to get dashed out of the house. It was kind of like that. It's embarrassing. That for one, and also I think when the ball's played out to the wide man, Martinez has got to get closer early. In my opinion. And people might say, "Well, back off," or just whatever. But the cross is going to come, and I think the guy's got to get a touch. He's not going to play it first time. I've looked at it over and over again, and I have looked at this, by the way. Lucky you've asked that question. This wasn't pre-planned, but I've looked at it over and over again. Said, should he really be in his face? Martinez, the dog, the butcher, the reputation that beholds him. Go out there quick and be bam. As soon as he gets that first touch, I'm here. What are you going to do? Munch, you know, and eat him up. But he's got time to get the crossover, and he's just doing a little thing. And it's a wicked cross as well, as in it's coming in an area which is danger, that corridor of uncertainty for defenders. And as proven, it's caused problems. And yeah, I do think there has to be, what we're missing as a defender, so in seconds, it has to be instant. Bam, bam, bam. You know, someone's got to say, pick up. If you see a man drifting, you've got to pick him up. Or someone's got to pick him up, whether it's the midfielder or whatever. But there's not enough. I don't see Lindelof. That's what I'm saying. Lindelof is a good player. But I think Maguire has to play. He always played ahead of it. And this is why, I know I'm not going back to, I told you so, Maguire.
Yeah.
But Maguire is the sort of guy where anything that comes in the box like that, a standard clear, usually win it with his head or read it or get it out or even put his hands on people and you know, risking a penalty. But he does clear things up like that. And it's standard. It's not like you're supposed to do it. It's not like, oh, it didn't happen. You're supposed to do it. And we're not even supposed, that phases of play like that are not even supposed to be a problem because that's your house. That's your job. You're supposed to clean up your mess and just clean up the mess, get dustpan and brush, say, right, let's move on and get on with this thing. So I'm disappointed. One for Martinez, I felt I've watched it a few times now, get out in the guy's face early, because we were a bit of backup. Say, Lindelof, I'm gone. Bam, go out there and stop the cross, or just you know, just get in the guy's face and just stop him from doing anything. And then, secondly, Lindelof shouldn't get moved up like that. No way. And thirdly, the free man is Welbeck, just like happened with Papa Shango. No one's picking him up. He's free. in the box. And Ben, who's the left back for the Spurs? The second goal they scored, Ben Davis, was sparing in the box as well. I think there's a few issues with communication, whether it's Martinez or with the language or whatever. You need someone in there who's going to be talking. Like I say to my brother Kehinde, I'm screaming, going hoarse on the sidelines. When I play, I organise everything. I don't care if you hate me. People hate me. They hate me because I'm dragging them here. Bam, bam, bam. You're here. And I'm spending all my time doing that, and it saves my legs because I don't have to run. Suddenly, we're in positions where we organise everything else. And I say things because I'm confident, because I know what I'm talking about. If anyone questions me, I will tell you exactly why we're doing that and why we had to, be in a certain position. That's simple as that. If you're not confident doing it, you're mute. And I don't think Martinez or Lindelof are confident in saying anything right now. Martinez maybe for the language, Lindelof because he doesn't talk anyway, I don't believe. I've asked that question before, does he talk? I don't think he does. And you need to be able to, as a defender, you saw half time, we both watched that guy from Wickham, the centre-back.
Yeah.
And he's got a mic on during the game, and he's strolling through that game. I know it's Division 2 or whatever, or Division 1, but he strolls through games just from talking, left side, right shoulder, boof, 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 and he makes life easy for himself, And I just don't see that kind of leader, captain at the back doing that kind of thing. And that's what we need. And I think that's what's an issue for our goals. Even against Spurs, when I was saying Mount should attract that guy, you got to have a centre-back saying, yours, or get goal side of him, sort of thing. They're letting guys get, what's Welbeck doing in that kind of space? Getting goal side of players. It's wrong. And it's criminal. And that's why I don't blame Onana, because you're getting off shots in key areas and professional football to block them away. It's easy business for them. So yeah, that's my thing. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
No, I agree. But just before we go to the comments, there's three things that I'm really interested in about that goal. Number one, right, is I understand the midfield position very as well as I can do. I've been doing it for 20 years. Casemiro's in a poor position to stop. His job is defending the penalty spot, basically, in that situation. And McTominay should be in zone 14. And you'll notice that a lot of goals came from zone 14 in that game. All of them, essentially. But Martinez and Lindelof were man-marking in various stages of play leading up to that goal. And they were right up on the halfway line, in particular Lindelof. And then they had to run. Then he had to run back and then turn and face the ball. Is this something that these players can do? Do the players we have the capability to be able to go all the way up into the midfield and then recovery run back to the box and then defend the box properly?
Yeah, but how fit do you need to be able to do that by half time? I mean, I'm not being funny.
Yeah.
If my player, who's my left back at the standard that we play, can't get up and down on the pitch. Last year I didn't have a choice. We had men with no legs. Maybe that's what the problem is. Maybe the players are too old and they do need youth running around them. But you can only have youth in certain positions on the pitch. And that's where I worry. That's where I mean you talk about Casemiro and his physique quite I'm not going to say disrespectfully.
It is disrespectful.
But okay, all right, I'll say it. I'll say it. You call him a pudding.
Yeah.
And this season, he looks like he's running in pudding. He really, really does. Now, again, is that down to the preseason that we've had, the role that Ten Hag expects him to physically be playing, or here's one for you. Did Real Madrid know his legs were going to give him a year and have palmed him off to us?
Well, I think that Real Madrid, don't really, from what I saw of them last year and the previous years, they don't really use a pressing system. They're pretty much in blocks, and Casemiro strolls about in between the lines, basically profiting on the work of the other midfielders. You hear a lot of people say, "Oh, he's so intelligent, he just can step in and get the ball and stuff." That's mainly other people's work, right? That it's you've almost set a little trap, and he's just waiting there to come in and pinch the ball. But the reason why I'm asking this about if the defenders can do that, because when I looked at the space that was available for Welbeck, I wondered if I mean, I know, looking at that, I know that space has been... We have to leave some space. We can't just block everything. But that space was left for our centre-backs to attack, right, and to win, and to make it their own. And what I'm asking is this that Ten Hag doesn't have the players to do this, right, in order to play these high lines? Like, Casemiro doesn't have the mobility to do it. Eriksen will get on to later, and and obviously I'm going to defend McTominay, but I do. When I was watching McTominay, he was playing like a true academy player, where I knew what he was doing, and he's doing what you do in that position, like, perfectly fine, but he's not adjusting to what's going on around him. And that's always been my complaint with academy players, is that they can never improvise because they're just so into systems. And I think that Ten Hag is trying to play a form of football with players that can't do it. And is that a mistake? Is sort of what I'm asking. Are we asking players to do things they can't do?
No. Can I just say no? The answer is no. They can do this by half time. It's like it's about switching off. You think it's taking responsibility. Oh, that wasn't my fault. You can break that down, because there's so much analysis these days, and they must take it when they get back into training with the data analysis. They must be going through that right now. Think, oh God, you're in trouble, man. I know it's your fault. And it's like not being accountable, taking responsibility on the pitch. When you get back in shape, right? So you're getting transitioned on, and you've got to run back from 30, 40 yards and set up a nice sort of block. Once you get there, you don't just get there and say, right, I've done my job, I got back. You get there and you organise things so it's protected. I just think people switch off, say, right, I've got my position, I'm in the right position. Lindelof's probably thinking, right, I'm here, this is my man, I don't need to do anything else, even though he messed up and got bounced. Martinez is thinking, right, I don't really have to get over that much, because if they get the cross in, it's not going to be my fault, because I've come out of my zone, the central area where the goals are scored. And it's about taking responsibility. So I think players can do it, but you've got to get it drilled into them. Someone needs to shake up these guys. Give them all skinheads or something. Let everybody shave your head bald and just have that sort of mentality.
Like that Romanian team.
Yeah, like the Romanians. They dyed them all their hair blonde, didn't they? But they need that sort of thing, like an army, like a togetherness. They make team building or something and sort of support each other. Or do that thing where, when they jump off stage and, see if you're
crowd surfing.
Yeah, see if you're going to
trust exercises.
Imagine if that happened right now with the team we've got. People will be like, huh? Oh, sorry, and someone will crash and broke their nose or whatever. That's probably where they're getting injuries. They're probably doing this drill. People are smashing themselves up at the stage because they're not supporting each other. So I do think there's a stage at this level of half-time, these international players, I do think that it's not a case that they can't do it. I just think they're thinking, boy, this is pressure. We get ripped every week. Let me just cover myself so I'm not the one, and we can blame them.
But they're not even doing that on Monday.
They are. They got back in shape, and they can say, right, I've got my man. That's they were man to man in the box for Welbeck's goal almost.
So what about the midfield? So what about the run from midfield?
Yeah, they can say, well, I've done my job. What about you guys? That's what they can say. Rather than saying, right, I'm here now. You fucking get the fuck here. Or I shouldn't be saying, but that's how I talk on football. I swear. I don't swear here, but I swear football. What the fuck? You have to get that point across. I know you do that, Mr. P. I don't know about
you heard me.
Half-time is the most well-spoken dude on podcasts, but I can imagine he's like, what the fuck? If he wants to get his point across. If someone's not doing their job by half-time, it's going to affect your team. Do you speak like that?
I'm more like Mr. B with his son. I do it after the game, and I try and cover people like in the game, because like there are some people who respond to that who you can shout at and stuff, but I know what people are like with egos and things, so I just leave it to it's a better moment. But as a young player, as I've told you many times, I was a gobby little shit, and I used to go off at everyone, and we got in quite a lot of fights because of my mouth. So I learnt to control it over the years. But just before actually, it's too late now. When I was talking about that Romanian team, I was going to do a joke about how we need pitch rescue at the moment because one of them is called Dan Pistrescu. But,
Good one.
Thank you. But I think it's time for the comments, and then I want to talk about McTominay and Zone 14 if I can.
Okay, so quickly, big up to Black Bolt all the way from New York, man. I love how you keep coming on, and all these American supporters of the channel as well. Really appreciate you guys. The back line was strength last season, saying there isn't any energy anymore, I think saying. Synergy, anymore. De Gea was part of that unit, so another endorser of De Gea since we're having bad results. Jeff saying here, I'm so sad when I see Casemiro run. His legs are so shot. UK Exchange saying players should be demanding more from themselves. It's unacceptable to underperform every game. I like that. Zoe Media House saying here, one of the issues in is midfield. It seems Bruno, Eriksen, Casemiro, or whoever is in midfield tend to rotate the number 10 with free roles, which doesn't work. Sometimes Bruno will end up in right back positions, etc. Vincent again is saying the second Erik ten Hag's Ajax season had the same turbulence. The success of the system will depend on intelligence, coordination, and trust between the players. I doubt the selection and poor bench. Big T saying here, Souness was laughed at when he said Casemiro was a steady Eddie and good players around him at Real Madrid, but he was right. So again saying Erik ten Hag has to take away Bruno free role from the team. Doesn't work. He isn't good at the role. He's saying here, Hannibal shave? No way, he wouldn't shave his hair, would he? Jeff saying here, I agree, Bath. I don't think we have the front press, mid block, or defensive legs to run the system. Rashford will never press. He will always be in the team. Cap or Die saying, welcome again, Cap or Die. He says, you think wearing the same kit would be enough? It's a good point. It's true. Seeing Rashford hugging a player after a tackle on Saturday is a joke. We don't have 95 minutes players anymore. Big T saying here, most of these players were running and pressing last season. Vincent saying, I can really imagine a Monday in a mosh pit, crowd surfing. Horsey players today, says UK Strange. And he's also saying too much respect in football, especially Man United players. Too often, Wan-Bissaka injured, out for a few months. Is Zoe Media out? Do we bring back De Gea? Says Rich WWE. Jeff is saying here, yell at me, and it will make me want to run through the other team, eat their hearts. Oh gosh, ruthless.
Steady on, Jeff. You're a ref. What are you talking about?
We like goals. Time to bring back Ronaldo. There you go.
All right, so there was something else that I wanted to bring up, and Mr. B, you can help me and Amonde out with this. Is that with the way that we played, we were playing McTominay in the right-sided midfield position, and I've spoken about this quite a lot about what the job of that is, and it's essentially just a runner. Like, you're not meant to be involved in ball circulation. And we saw this against Spurs. I think Mount played that position, and he had roughly the same amount of touches on the ball. They're not really that involved, but one of your sort of like duties in that role is you have to protect the channel, and the channel is the space in between the fullback and the centre back. It's not like a wide area or something like that. It's in between two players, and what I saw. I thought Delot and McTominay did okay with what they were tasked to do at the weekends, which they had to do a shitload of running. And it was much better on our right-hand side than it was on our left-hand side. But all the goals came from the right-hand side, and McTominay and Delot they kind of allowed the ball to be played across into zone 14 where we should have had bodies. And we saw João Pedro, who ended Ollie's career, score that goal. We saw Gross, or whatever he's called, who I thought was superb, also get in there. But with the João Pedro goal, Bruno was ahead of his man instead of being behind his man. And I do not know what happened with the Gross goal, because we had three people in that zone and none of them went for the ball. And I sort of want people to tell me if the problem was that Delo and McTominay were allowing the ball into that zone without like checking to see if there were men there, or if the men in that zone weren't taking responsibility.
Oh, shit.
So what do you think? Like, Mr. B, you're a winger. Like, would you have enjoyed going up against Delo and McTominay if they're allowing cutbacks into the box, to the edge of the
All
box?
day, all day. I would take the challenge. I would take the challenge. I'm not sure. Bath time. I can't answer the question that you just answered me because I don't know. It then means that either there's a system breakdown or players aren't communicating on the pitch. Because as I said, if we can see what's happening, surely the manager's gonna get somebody in. What do you call it? Zone 14.
Zone 14,
I mean,
that's the D, and that's where most goals are scored.
right. So surely they should have had. There was nobody. There was nobody in zone 14, 15, 16, or 17, wherever those zones are. To be fair, there's just big gaps all over the place. There's just big gaps. I don't understand. You look at. We're just not. We're not hard. We're not hard to score against. I think that is my biggest worry. We're not hard to score against.
Easy to play through.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to back that up as well, I do agree. You just reminded me about the two goals where Pedro scored, and where the guy dropped his shoulder and said, "Well, someone skidded," and shot with his weaker foot into the corner of the net. It was a lovely goal. I have to give them credit, but yeah, they got time and space in those sort of areas from cutbacks or where I didn't realize it came down the right. You were saying it came down the right. I don't know, what the weakness is, but it reminds me of the Tottenham game where they got to the point where they was just like playing wide and just playing simple triangles around static men, which was very easy for them, just making that run into space, and it was just really simple for them. I found it similar against Brighton as well. They were able to like pick out men quite easily, which you shouldn't be able to do in a tight box. When I compared it, when we were trying to score against them, they had men behind the ball blocking. You just talked about having been behind the ball as a midfielder. It's I think suicide that not one of the three midfielders can get. They're all ahead of the play, it seems, and that's why they have to take some sort of responsibility for that, especially when they're scoring goals like that. Just one touch finish, Welbeck, Pedro, bad one touch finish. And then the other guy dropped the shoulder, had time to make it even more sweet and make it look delicious, and slot it in the corner. It's too much time and space. There should be 2-3 men to be beat. When Rashford, I thought we had time to talk about Rashford, but when Rashford was running through, he always had 2-3 guys. Even when he scored against Arsenal, there was 2 guys in front of him. They had to try and beat before thing. But granted, he's trying to do things on his own. He's not playing as a team. Tottenham played as a team. They beat us. Brighton definitely played as a team, and they beat us. If we played as a team in that respect, in those sort of areas where it's like pass, wait, create space, and move, and give it simple, and make it look easy, I think with Brighton, they saw the first goal and said, gone into half time and said, right, it's very easy to score goals. Don't make it hard work. Look how easy it was. It's hot, nice with butter, pass, and simple things. And they scored 2 other goals the same way, and it makes you think, because sometimes you press hard trying to score, force things. It's simple. Go look at the 3 goals for Brighton. Very easy, simple, basic goals that you can do on a training ground. But then the difference is they deliver that on the pitch, and we're trying to force things with players like Rashford, who I'm going to start calling Trashford again very soon, because he's doing all that last season, trying to say my mentals are good now. But as Mr. B started the show by saying, I felt he was just like a one-man show, and there's opportunities. I know he had an assist that went out of play and could have scored or whatever, but still he done far too much. When really it's just like, do it early. No one knows when you're going to make that run. No one. It's like Ronaldo and Van Nistelrooy. They had big arguments because Van Nistelrooy is expecting something. Bam, do it now. But Rashford's like holding up, and thinking, right, how can I beat this guy? And not thinking about the next phase, which is how do I cross it, or just do it early, or just push and go, or as Mr. B was saying earlier, do that Mbappe or Henry thing, slow it down and go again. You get a yard and you get across. Who?
Bowser.
Bowser.
Like slowing it down and then going fast.
Okay, that's the term.
Fox loves.
Okay. So that's
right,
my point. Yeah, I agree with you. What's your
We're talking about Rashford then.
Well, I just call him Trashford for now. He needs to really take a lot of criticism, because I just felt for the last 3 games, I know he scored against Arsenal, but it's all about him. It's just, you've got to bring more team play into it and use that. If you're going to celebrate like that, it's got to do it for a reason. Don't do that for no reason. You've got to bring more players into play and make it more simple, effective, as how Brighton scored their goals. You've got to do the same. In Matoma, he's getting the ball. He knows already, I'm going to drag this man out, jockey, then bring someone else in, and sacrifice myself to bring another player into play. Rashford's all about himself for the last few games, unfortunately. I don't know what you guys think. That's my.
Well, I mean, I've been saying for a while now that I'm disappointed that Rashford isn't playing more inside, and that he should be looking at Ronaldo, he should be looking at Bale, and should be making should be looking at trying to get his physicals up where he can play in that position. And we should also shout out, I think it was Zoe's Media House who talked about Reguilon. Would we see him playing over the weekend? We all said not a chance, and then he bloody started. But what we were doing with Rashford, I actually really liked in principle. We had he wasn't providing the width. Reguilon was providing the width. Rashford was sort of was going one-on-one with his men, and he was beating them. He kept beating his man repeatedly, and I know that he did an assist that was where it was out of play. He also put a ball in that I think that Højlund should have scored from. Højlund got across his man. But what drove me mad about that is that, so we talked about the right central midfield position being a runner, is that Højlund and McTominay were constantly either near post or back post in decent positions, and Rashford wasn't putting it in. But what I don't know is, I think this is the first time Rashford has played that inside position. And if Rashford could grow a brain, this could work where he's playing. I know it was frustrating, but the real issue with him was in the press. It was outrageous what he was doing. I don't know, Mr. B, right? If Ten Hag has looked at him and said this guy's never been coached how to press. He just does not get it. He doesn't understand. He doesn't know his distances. He can't use his cover shadow properly. We've just got to we've just got to basically accept that he can't do it, and all we really want him to do is just close a man down and then get back into position. But the issue with this is when we're this narrow, Eriksen's playing left side central midfield, which is meant to be the sort of the orchestrator. Eriksen had so much space to cover because of Rashford. And on the right-hand side, Højlund and McTominay made it quite hard for Brighton to get out. They did get out occasionally, but they made it hard. But Rashford and Eriksen, and I don't blame Eriksen for this, because I think Eriksen was all right. He did what was asked of him. But we can't have Rashford in the team if he's letting people out on this side so easily. We can't be that narrow.
You say that, but then you were just saying that they scored all their goals from the right.
Yeah, but that's because, so when you get out on one side, everyone has to run over, and then you play it, and then you switch it across. So what was happening was they were getting out on the right, and then Dunk was moving into a kind of left-back position, and it was getting hit to him, and then he was switching it up to Mitoma or Adedongi or someone, and they were getting through. But the problem is that they had a free escape down Rashford and Eriksen's side every time. And then I'm still confused about if McTominay and Delot defended well and were let down, or if they should have been more aware of where Bruno and Casemiro were. But, I mean, that's all actually due to the fact that we're playing too high up the pitch with those players. They just can't press that high. But that's kind of my feeling on Rashford, is that unless his defensive attributes increase, I just don't. I don't know how we can carry him in the team if he's not scoring goals, and he's scored 4 in the last 20.
Yeah.
And what do you think, Mr. B? Are you still his number one fan?
As I said, I've got so much love for these players that it's just, some of them I don't like, and some of them I probably love, even if they run me over in their car. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I try to be positive half time. You know what I mean? I try to be positive, but this week's been hard to see any positivity, to be fair. I mean, I just don't see us improving with the players that we've got on the pitch. I don't see us improving. Now look, we've got Bayern coming up. We've talked about the past. Obviously, we will have our preview tomorrow. But do you not see any? I'm not going to say any hope. Can you see any improvement in what we've been doing in the Bayern game?
Yeah.
You think we're going to be better?
Yeah, I mean, against Spurs and against Brighton, we were really good for 20, 25 minutes. Against Brighton, we won the ball back 10 times, like in high areas. It didn't lead to a shot, but the basics are beginning to come through in terms of winning the ball high up the pitch. The problem is that when our opposition manager adjusts things and basically plays with more width, our very sort of compact central system, we don't have an ability to cover it. Like there's no sort of in-game changes or plan B on how to deal with this sort of stuff. And Ten Hag's got to have a plan B coming into against Bayern. Like, I mean, he should be sacked on the spot if he doesn't. Because we can't just go in and play one way and hope that the other team just stays the same. But what are the comments all saying?
Yeah, some good comments coming through. So just randomly, Rashford is a greedy player. Should have switched to Holland, but shot wide. That's another opportunity, I think. We don't score from set pieces, which I was thinking during the game as well. Big up to Solo, by the way. He's saying we are the weaker team. We are a weaker team from last season, he's saying. We've gone backwards. And we can't blame Scott. The manager also has to take some of the blame. So the title of the show is Ten Hag Under Pressure. Solo would be saying, yeah. The box is saying here, no point sacking Ten Hag. These players have flopped and down tools too many times and got managers sacked. Zoe Media House, I don't agree. Teams around us, our rivals, always get over the top media praise, which is what City, Arsenal, Spurs, Liverpool thrive on. Chelsea have had the worse start than us, but the media are being nice. Question for the panel: if we get beat by Burnley, are you all done? Talking about us. 2K is saying here the coaches are an issue. So we went back to old people that been there. We need the best player and the best coaches. I want to say hi to Mr. Logie.
Logitech.
This is the other day. I messed this up, didn't I?
Yeah,
you called him or Iogi or Wanji or something like that.
Oh god! All right, Eric Ten Hag cleaning up stupid players. That's what he's saying there. So there's a couple of comments there about weak defenders. Here's one. Box is saying here, Brighton passed the ball 30 times and kept possession for 1 minute, 40 seconds for that second goal. And Alex is saying here, the first two goals were scored starting in the left, then into the middle to Welbeck. He goes back to Dunk switches to the winger, out on the right side, cut back to the penalty spot, bang, goal. Very simple there. And Solo, we need Cantona says box. Eric Ten Hag is just another Brendan Rodgers. 2K. And shout out to Hannibal's. He's got big balls to come out and do that. Very impressive goal.
I felt so sorry for him. He scores his first goal in professional football at the Stretford end at Old Trafford, and he just can't even when Rashford scored that goal against Midtjylland or whatever, like he ran in the crowd, he had all his I think Henderson and McTominay were there, like all the guys he'd grown up with, and poor Hannibal has to turn over and look at Casemiro like falling out of his arse. Like it just
but he went mad,
so
didn't he? He really went off like it was the '82 World Cup for Italian player.
But only for like 5 seconds, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like, he was
it's
caught
the
up
joy.
in the moment.
It's the joy of him scoring his goal, man. I mean,
I felt sorry for him.
Yeah.
Just quickly, where did he play when he came on?
I have absolutely no idea. Like Bruno was a centre back. Like he played in the centre. Like I think he was an 8. Like he was sort of like, but it was all we did was just put 8 people up the pitch, give it to Bruno, and whack it. Like I mean, that was our fullback plan. It was pretty embarrassing to watch.
Just going back to like obviously on Wednesday we're playing Bayern Munich. I do think like sometimes you're kind of lured into like a false, like a bit of lazy, lax the daisy called attitude which is why we didn't communicate or get picked up certain things against Brighton. We look at these guys. I earn 3 times as much as you. Their whole squad costs 17 million. It's like, or whatever it is. They're just thinking, come on, the whole first team, sorry. So I think when it comes to Bayern Munich, I think a lot of these players, because they're like, right, this is the big time, we're back in the Champions League. I think their concentrations and levels will be on because they're looking around. Shit, Kane. Shit, that winger Coman. Shit, there's more respect, and you're thinking, man, I need to be on this. Davies is coming. You're going to be like fired up and concentrating at all times. Big stage, big game. You want to be proving it then. So I do think there's an attitude. We'll see anyway, because that would tell me something about the players. If they switch on and they do well for 70 minutes, they hold out and show some good performances in that game, and then I'll say, well, why didn't you do that against Brighton? Why couldn't you have that same intensity? Because you don't respect the players, or you got to go. They're looking for the occasion, and I think I will be looking on Wednesday. If we have a good performance, which some of us have, I'd also be questioning, why can't you do that in every game? Why can't you just be switched on in every game?
Could be preparation.
And take these guys seriously, because you'll be every man on that Bayern Munich team. You'll be saying, "Shit, I'm on your toes, ready, kind of ready to go." But are you like that in the Prem, or are you like that in other games? Maybe not. We'll see anyway. But I'm looking forward to it as a spectacle. I think it's going to be a great experience for some of these guys, and we have to really step up and try our best and not bow down to this team who can really sort of outplay you for long periods of time. So it'll be interesting, really interesting game. I'm looking forward to it.
Are you looking forward to seeing Maguire back in the starting lineup, Mr. B?
Yeah, why not?
He's going to, you know what? I think he's going to play. And this is where I think our club is a fucking joke. There's a player who is not good enough and you wanted him out, but you're still going to have to play him. It doesn't matter what Maguire does on Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Because even if he plays really, really well and has a storming performance, is Ten Hag going to reward him with a start in the Burnley game?
Mr. B, if Maguire got bounced by Lallana like he did, do you think that won't be all in the social media right now and everyone be going on about it? No one's saying anything about Lindelof. Do you understand what I'm saying? The spotlight is really on him. And I admire the way he's able to sort of step up in games and not be afraid and not shy away and try his best, regardless of all the pressure being on him. Lindelof made a stupid error the other day. We see Martinez made a few errors as well, and no one says anything about it because the spotlight's not on them. They're not under that.
I think people are questioning Martinez at the moment because he hasn't got to the levels that he was at before the World Cup, and playing higher up the pitch. We're not seeing his passing. Like how do you remember that little move he used to do to get it through to Eriksen between the lines? You haven't seen that this season.
Yeah.
I think it's because they're playing too high.
Yeah. The one thing that concerned me about the Onana signing was I thought it was too much too soon. That we would have been better off going for David Raya because he alleviates pressure on Martinez and Lindelof, who are not great at defending crosses. He's the best cross claimer or whatever the stat is in the league. And with Onana, we're playing a ridiculously high line, and Casemiro, Martinez, I'm not sure that they can play that in a high line successfully. I think the line has got to drop against Bayern, and we've got to be looking at more mid blocks.
Big shout out to Buhauser. He's saying patience. It will take Erik Ten Hag another 2 to 3 windows to solve the personnel problem. Maybe more due to the Glazers' ineptitude.
We said we weren't going to talk about them, but we did. So with that's our shut off, guys. We've been on here for 110. I suppose we could have gone here for another 110. Look, guys, we will be back tomorrow. My Monday's face still hasn't changed. I know Bath Time still got that frown on his, and I'm showing on my. I always show my teeth until they fall out. So look, we will be back tomorrow. Hopefully, we will be in a better frame of mind. Obviously, we know Wan-Bissaka's injured, so that solo 11's going to be a whole load of madness tomorrow. So, guys, look, we will be back tomorrow. Bath Time. Thank you as always. On Monday. Thank you as always, guys. We hope our therapy session has helped and given you a little what's the word I'm looking? Oh, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but it's probably a long one. We will be back tomorrow. Me, Mr. B, I'm Monday, Juma and bath time. Guys, thanks for watching.
Thanks, Mr.
And
B.
I can't find this number. I can't find this button. Guys, we are out. Cheers. Bye.